Joining us once again is Adam Rizzieri, Chief Marketing Officer at Agency Partner Interactive. And Adam, I have had a number of listeners over the past week in particular ask me to join Parler. We know that the extent to which many, especially on the right, are fed up with media is extraordinarily high, but social media in particular. And, well, what do you have to say about Parler?
You know, I think people are largely dismissing Parler as the Twitter for conservatives, but frankly, that's just underestimating what's coming. You know, really, I think what we're seeing here is this strong move towards rejecting kind of some of those big media and big tech outlets that have really grown so dominant that they control so much. You know, we've seen a lot of backlash directed at Twitter and Facebook and big tech in general, following things like, you know, censoring the New York Post and Customs and Border Patrol, their leader, Mark Morgan, over 20 or so Trump tweets since the election. We're seeing Fox News journalist Maria Bartiromo say, hey, you know what, guys? Leave Twitter. It's going to block you at some point. Move to Parler with me, because this is where you can truly have a discussion that's free and fair. I mean, I could point to so many names, so many different influencers that are in the political and business world that are just seeing big tech and big censorship for what it is. And I think people are rejecting it. When you see big issues, when you see actual evidence around some of those more sensitive discussions around the campaign, you know, like the Stop the Steal campaign, for example. I don't know if you guys have heard of Maidengate. Maidengate's another thing that went viral on Twitter for, you know, a series of hours until Twitter caught on and blocked that from circulating through the Twitter world. I think people are just fed up with this activity.
So this is really about just censorship, more than it being a conservative alternative. We're talking about a platform that is not engaging in censorship and intends on not heading down that path.
Absolutely. I mean, Parler is a lot like Twitter. It's kind of like an early version of Twitter, except the thing that does make it unique really is just their company policy and how they enforce it. And they're not going to be a referee of conversations. They're not going to make decisions about, you know, who or what should be removed and filtered. The only content policy that these guys are operating under is the one that basically says, you know what, if you're a terrorist organization, you can't post here. If you post disgusting things like child pornography, can't do that here either. And then they'll police copyright violations, but that's it. They're not trying to fact check what we're saying. They're not trying to say whether or not our opinion is valid. They're letting discussions take place. Their challenge, though, is that right now their platform has about a little over 7.5 million users, largely right-thinking users, but they want actual healthy political discussions. So they've gone so far as to actually offer $20,000 bounties to get liberal influencers on their platform to facilitate more of an actual discussion and not just, you know, a bunch of us that kind of think similarly, saying, you know, this and that about the things that we believe in.
So if I'm hearing you, it sounds like for those of us who do not believe in censorship, but also integrity, you know, for me, like with Twitter, if they would just be honest about who and what they are rather than lie to us, I would accept that too. Because if you want to be, you know, a censored platform that, you know, super serves the left, so be it. Just be honest with us. But in this instance, it seems like Parler might be worthwhile because there should be a place in the world for some social media that doesn't adhere to that kind of groupthink.
Well, absolutely. I mean, right now, Facebook and Twitter operate under these Section 230 immunities that basically allow users basically it allows them the freedom to let users have discussions. But Facebook and Twitter are kind of trying to police these discussions now, which frankly, they don't necessarily need to be doing under those Section 230 immunities. Parler is enjoying the Section 230 immunities that have been granted by our legislators and actually letting conversations take place. And if I post something to Parler and I'm just factually wrong, that's on me, right? And so I think people in general are just really rejecting this kind of big brother mentality that we're seeing from Facebook and Twitter. People are rejecting it because a lot of the stuff that I think conservative thinkers are trying to put on Twitter, actual facts, images of sworn statements, videos that show certain things that we should be asking questions about specific to the election. When you see Twitter trying to block that kind of stuff, all of a sudden you're asking yourself, man, if that's not a fact, then what the heck is?
It's, you know, yes, on Twitter all day long. I mean, I have my own example of it. They quite literally, after 5 years of being verified in January, while guest hosting for Mark Levin, decided that I was no longer going to be verified. Still to this day have never given me a reason why, and still have never followed up, even when I've had people with our company inquire as to why. So, I mean, look, there's no question about what Twitter has been about, and it's not just this specific election cycle either. So, Adam, I appreciate it. It's good insight, and I trust your opinion as well. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, sir. Thank you.
Adam Rizzieri, Chief Marketing Officer at Agency Partner Interactive.